All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Onchain Media Podcast. Today, I'm joined with an incredible project. We have Azos here. I have Joshua Lapidus and Penguin here from the Azos team. Joshua is also from the ETH Denver team as well. We have a lot to dive into. Joshua and I, we've worked adjacent to each other and with each other for many years now. So I'm very excited. You guys know if you've seen my content, but on my spaces, I always give flowers to Joshua. He's a core pillar in the crypto and ETH Denver community, and now he's working on Azos. So Josh, super excited to dive in today. Do we want to go and do maybe some introductions?
Yeah, let's start with Penguin because we've been doing it backwards and it works better.
Awesome.
So I am a builder in the space. I've been building actively in DAOs and DeFi NFTs since 2019. I have been crypto adjacent since 2017 when I got some crypto kitties. My background is in bioinformatics. I wrote electrophysiology software, which is heart surgery software. So implanted devices, things that help keep people alive. And then I went to cancer diagnostic software where I was taking next generation sequencing data, where we sequence people's DNA and we tell them what kind of cancer they have, and actually created some of the first software for blood cancer diagnostics and follow-up treatment. I took what I like doing, which is helping people and creating an impact, and I carried that into blockchain. So I started doing as cool and interesting projects as I could. In 2020, I bought some gold and gave it to my NFTs, created a project called Never Touch Fiat Again with RWAs.
It's a great name.
Thank you.
And one of those.
I did that with Materium with Vinay Gupta, and basically had a bunch of different projects that I worked on. Metafactory, I was a designer there for several years.
That's where I met you. Yeah. It was with Metafactory. You were like with all the clothes at the booths. Little Fresh Sam was there. Shout out Fresh Sam now. Fresh
It was
Sam.
MCon, I believe.
MCon, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the projects that I had the pleasure to work on at ETH Denver is a project called Rainbow Rolls, where
I remember Rainbow Rolls. Shout out to Kitty too. I know Kitty
That was
Slasher is a big proponent.
MCon 2021.
The same event that you're talking about. And so up late working on Rainbow Rolls, which turned out to be a very successful project where we donated a significant amount to public goods. We were a Gitcoin funder and Giveth funder. And we also donated $7.25 million to wipe away medical debt for people. So 5,000 families, first involvement in the letter from us saying that an NFT project on Ethereum mainnet wiped away your medical debt.
Wow. I am curious, like kind of the arc, right? For both of you, I mean, Joshua, I know your story, but just to share with our audience here today, what brought you guys into Web3 and what inspired you to do the work you're doing today?
So Joshua can still kind of tell that part of his intro story about how he met me.
Yeah, we can go back. Your audience knows me well. We've done this a few times. So I had what I thought was a full career in politics before all this. I burned out. I was a legislative director on the Hill in Annapolis, burned out, moved to China after graduating, wanted to focus on the other side of my degree, was there for 2 years, met my wife. Then we moved, I dragged her to Tel Aviv where I did a coding boot camp, and then back to the US where I started getting back into tech and realized I don't enjoy being a coder. I have great respect and envy for Penguin's ability to lock in and lay code.
Respect.
And that just was not for me. I enjoy talking to people too much. Yeah, so I actually got a job with the Department of Homeland Security, and I moved to this like a different part of the story.
Your guys' backgrounds are crazy. You sound like what have you guys not done collectively? It's like a superhero dynamic here, duo.
We've never been astronauts. So
never been astronauts. Okay.
So yeah, I actually moved from Phoenix to DC because I got this job as a junior Java developer with the Department of Homeland Security and USCIS. Anyway, so I'd moved to DC. The contract had gotten canceled, and then I started driving with Lyft while I was waiting for my security clearance to pen. And then another person that you also know, Aaron, they basically invited the drivers with 5 stars to become ambassadors. So I became an ambassador. That contract gets canceled, and I ended up at Lyft for 3 years. I was on the team that was responsible for beating Uber to IPO. We had like 35 major markets that we needed to get up to about 35% market share. And when I started, we were at like 7% market share. This is Aaron likes to refer to this as a knife fight for market share. So we IPO, the drivers and the passengers get basically nothing. Through this time, I had started kind of reading about Ethereum and getting into tokens, and I met this guy Tommy and my now very good friend Jacob, who we co-wrote this white paper together on decentralized rideshare. And he says to me, "You clearly know a lot about rideshare, but you don't know anything about crypto. So you should take this Consensus Academy class." And I did that, and the timing worked out. I went back to him after we revised the paper, and he goes, you actually took the class and you graduated? I recommend this to thousands of people, and you're like the first one who's ever done it. Don't take that other job at Lyft. You should come work with me at Consensus." So that is how I got into working in crypto full time. I was at Consensus for 6 months, and then did what Consensus does, which is lay off like 20% of the workforce. So I went to ETH Denver to find another job, and I found one. I met John Powler and Eddie Pastor from the Opolis team.
Shout out to Eddie and John.
Yeah.
We got to have them on too one of these days. Both of them. We got to have John and Eddie on the podcast one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined the Opolis Employment Commons, the founding steward. Let's just briefly, actually, one of the ways that Penguin and I ended up getting closer, because when I joined Opolis, I didn't really know much about the DAO space. I had met like Tay and Tom from like Metacartel and Raid Guild, and Sky, and started getting into DAO House, and but it was clear I didn't really know anything about DAOs. And John has this view of work where you don't have to work just for one company. You don't just work for John. When you work in the Web3 space, it's all about building your reputation and helping out others, at least in the earlier days of the space, because there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a decent amount of money floating around.
It's like
but
he believes in more sovereignty for workers, essentially.
Yeah, it's more about getting your work done and less about sitting at a desk 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so as part of my job at Opolis was to go and have other jobs, to go do work in other DAOs, be helpful, make friends. And then
isn't this space so awesome? You wouldn't hear of that in any other job. My job is to go do other jobs. That's awesome.
Yeah, and build reputation, become friendly, and people go, "Oh, what else do you do?" You go, I Opolis, and we can help you get health insurance and process your crypto payroll." As like not like espionage isn't the right word. It's like infiltration through doing good. It's like just showing up, being helpful, and then explaining what it is your other job is.
It's building collectively too. It's building, well, Joshua, one thing I feel like you and I kind of like work in a somewhat similar way where we're very community oriented. And I remember first joining Opolis, you were in all of these Discords, just a part of so many different DAOs. And that really inspired me early on, because I saw like this space gives you the potential, like you can really do whatever you set your mind to. And through going and building with different communities, you build more relationships, you build more social capital. People know you, you build trust, more awareness of the other projects you're doing, and it ends up being good for the collectives that you're a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get to 2021, the NFT craze is booming. Everyone's buying overpriced pictures that don't really do anything. So a group of folks from Raid Guild and what was it, Badger, and a few others,
Badger DAO,
Bitcoin, Bankless DAO, like a bunch of these. A couple of us were in a group chat, and we're like, we should do one of these. Let's do a stupid NFT, and let's try to raise as much money we can. But instead of profiteering on it, let's just give away the money. So we'll do an NFT for public goods, and we got Giveth and Gitcoin on as partners, and Penguin told that part of the story already. But that was the first time that we really got to work together, and that was a ton of fun.
Yeah. And I hear like that story still echoes. Like I've heard it from Kitty, different people on the Opolis team who, were aware and kind of like a part of that era for you guys. And I feel like public goods have always been a part of like kind of your guys' DNA. It sounds like that's something that's always connected you throughout your Web3 careers. Just to kind of take a walk down memory lane here, you guys, I met Penguin at MCon. We actually went as a team, Joshua and I on the Opolis team. Joshua and I hosted so many spaces, you guys. Like when I give that metric of like I've organized, over 500 spaces now, a lot of those started with Opolis. We did partner spotlights, we did freelancer Fridays, I did Web3 Wednesdays, and Joshua was a part of a lot of these. We had big guests on Owaki, John Poller, one of the founders of ETH Denver and Opolis. And we had like, the Chippy community on. Like, there's just been so many incredible memories. And here's a team photo we had as well.
Yeah. And as we get closer, we always I like to give away VIP tickets on Rachel's podcast. So we can do that today too.
Wow, let's go. Okay. So if you're watching the podcast, I'm going to put the instructions in the description.
You have a code for special access to the Azos product. What you can do is anybody who uses that code within, we'll say, a week of the debut of the podcast and opens up a CDP, we'll enter them in a raffle for a VIP ticket to ETH Denver. And so
Awesome.
we'll upgrade
Let's
anybody who
go.
opens up a CDP.
See, there are perks, you guys, to tuning into the Onchain Media Podcast. We are giving away a VIP ticket to ETH Denver. We will put the instructions and my code to Azos in the description. If you're looking to get involved in crypto, if you're watching this podcast and you have no idea where to start, ETH Denver is a perfect starting point. So anyway, now we've gotten the ETH Denver segment and memory lane done. I want to dive in today to Azos, you guys. Penguin, can you give us a high-level overview of what Azos is and what the core problem is you're trying to solve?
Sure. Azos is solving the climate finance trilemma. So we are actually bringing RWAs to DeFi and doing it in a way that brings stability and builds positive flywheels for regenerative assets. So we're making a profitable DeFi platform that's based off of some of the most battle-tested and rigid platforms that are out there. DAI platform is one of the most battle-tested stablecoins out there. So it's 22 on the tokens, I believe, and it's one of the only decentralized stablecoins to really have stood out and survived Operation Choke Point. So we have turned that platform into a platform on Base. So we're building DeFi for the Base community. We're building it for real assets, and we're using RWA as collateral.
Awesome. And I love that you guys are, you're sticking with building a regen project. Obviously, that's something that's close to your guys' heart, working on rainbow rolls, trying to give back wherever you can. And I feel like that's something, it shows through your work that you've stuck with those values over the years. Joshua, I'm curious if you can build on that at all.
Yeah, sure. We don't message it as a regen platform. One of the problems that we identified with the regen and the refi space is that as soon as you start throwing around words like public goods and charity and refi, the ape brain flicks off. And for most people that are in crypto, whether subconsciously or consciously, we are throwing lots of money around, and how we choose to put money into that protocol, or whether we're putting it with our friends told us to, or we're copy trading somebody else. As soon as somebody hears like public goods, they're like, okay, I'll support this because I care about it, but I don't necessarily think I'm going to make a lot of money from it. And losing that speculative aspect cuts off a lot of money that could be flowing into projects that are doing good with the technology. And so a lot of people who work in crypto are afraid to tell people that they work in crypto because it's like a little cringe. They'd rather just say I work in tech or finance or software or whatever. So that we don't message it as a refi platform because it is DeFi. Like you should be able to come away with the same APR that you did looping with MakerDAO back in the day. So they can take the assets that we've listed as collateral, and this is for the more TradFi people, this is like the process of underwriting. So we have a risk assessment framework and an impact assessment framework that determines what assets are viable, both in terms of risk and in terms of our mission statement. And we list them, help create the market and liquidity for their assets and our stablecoin, and we grow together with them. Klima is a good example of this. So we partnered with KlimaDAO pretty early, and they just went through a transition to Klima 2.0. And so once their new token has Oracle support, you'll be able to take the token and deposit it in Azos, borrow AZUSD. We also have the Helios HLSP token and USD Glow from Glow Dollar. And then we're in I think TGN is listed. Yeah, so TreeGen, Jimmy Cohen, you can take your
Shout
TGN,
out.
you can deposit it into Azos, and you can borrow AZUSD. And then by the time this airs, likely Canna will be another token that you'll be able to use. So Canna by Messir is a California regulated carbon credit where they fix the price to CPI plus 5. So basically, the state of California has created a floor for this token. I think it's at like a little under $28. But the NAV, it's trading at like $32, $33. So there's arbitrage opportunities that we're in the process of building a market for it. And companies in California need to buy, hold, and retire these credits. And so there's a great opportunity on chain for it to get into a much broader set of hands, to make it a little bit more expensive for companies to retire these credits, but also to be able to use this asset as a store of value and borrow and use AZUSD.
Awesome. I feel like there's just so much potential here. The fact that you guys have chosen to build on Base too, I really want to dive into that. Onchain Media is very aligned with Base, with Coinbase. And I'm curious, why have you decided to choose Base as your home?
Base really has developed a really friendly environment for builders, developers. It has made some of the best-in-class tools for us to use, continues to provide examples and participate in things like ELIZA. So really, they have supported Base and built tools, and they've made a friendly place for launching tokens. Everything is able to be added to their DEX screener trustlessly, and it's backed kind of by institutional trust. So as we are working with these partners, a lot of these assets want to come onto a chain that they can trust, and largely Base has got the backing of Coinbase, so it's something that people can, by brand name and trust, associate. So a lot of the liquidity and DEX tools and the way that things are going right now is in Base, and the tools have been very friendly to use as well.
Yeah, I agree. As far as UI, UX, like I've just been really thrilled myself. Like personally, I've used Coinbase Wallet long before it was Base app as my primary mode of trading. And I feel like if we truly want to onboard people, if we want to onboard the masses, we have to make things easier. We got to make things fun. And I feel like, Azos, you guys are, obviously very savvy. You've been in the space for a while. So it seems like you've understood that with your choice to build on Base. I feel like, Josh, you probably have a lot to add. Also, culturally, like I feel like you guys align with the culture on Base too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started with the assets that we were first looking at were on Base. And then we started to dig a little bit deeper, and there wasn't a native stablecoin that we could carve out a niche for. And then we started talking to governments and it's very ironic because in the decentralized world, like where we live and breathe, this is not usually considered an asset. But one of the governments that I can't say which one yet liked the fact that Coinbase was a regulated company that is listed and regulated by the SEC. That's one of the reasons we're using Base. The likeliness of any of the L2s running away with your money, Coinbase probably is and Base are in the lower tier of likely to run away with your money.
It's publicly traded. It's been around a very long time. So they have a track record, right? And I feel like that's one of the reasons I first showed up. I first joined this on-chain summer meme kickoff. Jesse came in through this metaverse and was talking and sharing his values. And I just felt like everything started clicking for me. Like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I've been waiting for. This is it. And I started building on Base. I never looked back from that day.
I met Jesse in person for the first time at BarCon in, what was that, Santa Monica, Venice? One of those.
Okay, so last year.
Yeah. Was that last year? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's so long ago.
This year was in New York.
Okay. Yeah. So those are the same place to me. One of those on the beach in California. And I just happened to run into him, and then he invited me to play on his pickleball team. I play tennis, and so it's a natural fit to pickleball. And so
Nice.
we got to talk a bit, and he learned a little bit about Azos and was excited about the idea and was like, yeah, you definitely should build on Base. And that was one of the final straws that did it for us.
Yeah, I feel like Jesse does have a way of Like his leadership style, the way he shows up, like he's in the DMs, he's talking to people, he's actively onboarding. Day one, he was there welcoming me, making sure like you're good, like what can I do? And really started mentoring me in those early days. It's why, I added the On-Chain to Rachel Onchain Media. He really offered that mentorship in the beginning when I was brand new to Base. But having that support early on, it made it made a world of a difference. They're actually taking the time to care about their community, right?
They definitely do a good job of making sure to be inclusive.
That's largely what I meant by the developer support too, is that the leaders of those tools are there to help people, largely supporting them directly. So it's not like someone built it and you got to get on with support. Usually the people that are in charge of things are there to help, and they're active. And that's largely what we try and do as well. Usually you'll see Josh and I very active in every aspect that we can, both in the Discords and, in person, try and get out there and spread as much word as we can.
Yeah, I totally feel that from you guys. Anytime I've seen you or the Azos team, it's just always a friendly, welcoming vibe. All right, so we've covered what Azos is, why you guys are building on Base. I want to dive deeper into what assets are coming next. You mentioned TGN. You guys mentioned Jimmy. I love Jimmy. He's an incredible builder, long time friend, and someone in the impact space that I have a deep respect for. So very curious to hear what your plans are around TGN and any other assets that are coming next.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, so there are 4 or 5 assets that we've got going through our risk and impact assessment frameworks at the moment. We touched on this a little bit ago about Base being part of Coinbase and being regulated. And this is one of the reasons that some of the bigger the entities and older companies and countries are comfortable with Base and migrating their assets to Base. One of the partners we're talking to about migrating, and I think right now they're on Solana, is Power Ledger. They're in the process of trying to figure out a migration. We also are talking to Regen Network, Gregory Landua. They've got some assets that are making their way over to Base. And so when we learned of these potential migrations, when we were trying to choose a home, and they're like, we might consider Base too. And when we chose it, they're like, all right, we're coming. So we had that conversation with quite a few partners. Everything just kind of fit together.
That's incredible. And I mean, this is something that you inherently understand, Joshua. Back from your work at Opolis, you've always understood the importance of cross-pollination, partnerships, networking, building strategic relationships. And it sounds like you're doing that with Azos. I mean, you guys have partnered with, Glow Dollar, KlimaDAO, Helios. Like, these are heavy hitters you guys are partnered with. And it's no wonder. I mean, both of your backgrounds are very impressive. The work you've done, your track record speak for themselves. So I'm very excited about this. And, seeing you guys come onto Base makes me so much more bullish and excited and optimistic for the future. So continuing on all this, how is Azos designing positive flywheels where good actions, saving, spending, and supporting the planet reinforce each other and naturally scale impact?
So I'll take that. And the one word is gamification. We understand that to get things done, people have got to have fun. They've got to have a reason. They've got to have some kind of direction. So we've done this largely through achievements on our platforms and incentive programs. So we've tried to make it where people have some direction through achievements, go open a save, test it out, open different platforms, pay back some of the loan. So there's different steps that are outlined in these achievements that help people know what to do. But then there's also the immediate feedback of, hey, my score went up for doing these things. There's daily rewards for coming back and interacting with the platform. And this kind of helps build these positive flywheels where instead of people thinking about investing or donating, they're kind of just playing games. They're able to have fun. They're able to learn about things where they would normally be complicated or technical adventure going into DeFi. And obviously there's risks and stuff there, but we try to make it as friendly and fun as possible with cute little robots to help walk you through different steps and help explain things.
I love that. You had me at cute little robots. Very cool. Well, I am curious, like, what seeds are, though. Can you kind of touch at a high level if you guys are able to talk about this?
So seeds are our rewards program and our activation. So if you participate, earn achievements, do other things around our ecosystem, such as donate to Gitcoin grants. We gave 100 seeds for every dollar that people donated to the last Giveth round. So we watch and reward incentives for people that are doing things in the ecosystem as well as to partners. So this is a way that you can participate in the incentives program. And the seeds is a way for people to get in early and grow with Azos before the Azos token is live.
Awesome. I love it. It really does sound like, there's gamification, there's incentivization for, your guys' early users. It's like you're really giving back to people, not just to people financially, but giving back to the planet through the different, public good and charitable initiatives that you guys support. So I want to ask you both kind of like on the philosophical side, like why you're doing what you're doing. And I'm curious what better money for a better planet means to you both personally.
I would like to be able to tell people what I work on without having to cringe. Um, that's a good start. I'd also like to eventually be able to tell people what it is I do without having to explain the history of Bitcoin and how money works. But this technology is amazing. Vitalik gave us this very broad sandbox where anything that we dream of can be built. And it's kind of troublesome that the most popular things right now are all, it's all gambling, prediction markets, meme coins. They serve important market functions for certain parts of the economy, but we're trying to replace government functions and banks and international commerce and remittances and everything. And it needs to go much deeper than how do bros make money in dorms.
And I see Penguin going down to his shirt. Penguin, you wanna read what your shirt says?
Yeah, it says the most important scarce resource is legitimacy. And I think that really goes towards like my ethos and why I'm here and the people that I'm building with. None of my teammates are just like random people. Everyone are all stars that I've worked with throughout the DAO space, throughout my history. They're all personal friends. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work and with friends, building cool things that are making a positive impact. One of the rules that I learned is it's going to take the same amount of effort to solve little problems as it'll take to solve big problems. And
Ooh.
we've got enough big problems, so I only have a limited amount of time. I'd rather take and challenge myself to solve big problems that will help the most people possible. And when I was hanging out with Joshua one night in Phoenix, we went and I was already on this mission to help find funding to these organizations that are doing things positively. But like, I know this sounds silly. It was like for people to do anything, they need money. For any of these organizations to function, they need money. And when I was in all these DAOs, one of the hardest parts was to find funding, to find people that will believe in what you're building. It's, public goods. A lot of that is donation seeking.
Yeah.
By providing funding to the organizations that are doing the things that we want, that are good, that are actually profitable as well, we can direct funding and actually give money through these money Legos and tools that blockchain enables to actually help those platforms directly grow. Not say we're going to support them. TGN, we can directly set up liquidity pools and provide value for the TGN token. And also, as we're building these, when I say big problems and big solutions, DeFi itself, very large. We're talking about $100 billion a day of stablecoins, $4 billion of stablecoins on base. Very large space right now. But if we consider the entire carbon credit or global initiative for ESGs, we're talking trillions of dollars. So these markets are coming on chain. BlackRock and JP Morgan are maturing, and a lot of this is coming to base. So by solving these big problems, we provide incentives for these tokenizations, not just, hey, we want to tokenize things. Now you can actually use them to get loans, providing the frameworks that will take the assets of tomorrow and give them a purpose, give them funding, and build better money.
Let's go. Well, I was going to ask you guys, when you think about the future of money and sustainability, like what gives you the most hope? But I feel like you guys just really painted the picture beautifully of what you guys are doing, your mission. And yeah, I don't know if you guys want to build on that at all, like the future of money and sustainability, what makes you both the most optimistic?
The tooling is getting better. The analytics is getting better. The the scams are becoming a little bit more obvious and concentrated in certain ecosystems. And so as these things start to get better, so we took a framework like MakerDAO and we decided to change the collateral and said, all right, now we're building clean money by targeting assets that we care about that are also high quality collateral to fund a stablecoin or to back a stablecoin. I think we're headed for a future where maybe someone doesn't care as much about the environment, but they care about, let's say, solving poverty or some other
Yeah.
pet cause that they have, and they can use our framework. And we're also building out Azos as a service to allow some of these other projects to be able to do that, making it as easy as possible for someone to launch a stablecoin that's backed by their values, that can be that has safe governance, audited contracts that can be composable with everything else in DeFi. I mean, if you look at 4 or 5 years ago, it took months to like launch smart contracts that built some of these farms. And then later years, it was like one-click farming. And then you had the ERC20s and making new tokens. And then years later, now you've got things like Pump Fund where people can type in a few things and upload a JPEG, and now they've got a token that's launched and liquidity pools and all this stuff. And we're heading that same direction with the high quality and audited tech that allows people to do good things in their communities.
That's incredible. Well, I'm excited to see what you do. Do you guys have any final calls to actions or any things you guys have coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, I think the number one call to action is help test the product. It's live. You can deposit $25 to $30 worth of ETH or any of the other eligible collateral, and you can open up a safe with the minimum borrow is $20, but hold on to that $20 or deposit it into the liquidity pool in Aerodrome. We're going to be kicking on incentives pretty soon. That's the number one call to action, and the best way that you could support individual, real people opening a safe and borrowing at least $20. That's feels like a pretty low lift. I think that everyone listening to this could definitely do it.
I'd also like to say one of the key things that I'm doing every day is onboarding users into Base, building on Base, building other tools like the Seeds platform and the Seeds drop. So building a lot of other tools on Base as well. So come stop in the Discord, say hi, talk about it, learn about refi on and stay tuned for other mini apps that we come out with.
And of course, you guys, all three of us will be at ETH Denver 2026. It's coming up a lot faster than you think. And if you're watching this podcast, you can actually win a VIP ticket to ETH Denver if you use the referral code to join Azos. Well, finally, I would like to just share where people can follow you, where they can get connected, and how they can join the Discord.
Great. So find us on X at x.com/AzosFinance. There'll be a link in our bio for joining the Discord. Azos.finance is the website. There's a link on there for the Discord. And our channel is Azos on Farcaster.
Awesome. Well, you guys, it has been an absolute pleasure today. Everybody, thank you so much today for tuning in to the Onchain Media Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.